In an emergency, you need a name that you can trust. Pafford EMS has been proudly serving Sequoyah County since 2000. 2006 and has stations located in Muldrow, Sallisaw, and Vian. For a membership, you can call us at 918 774 9184. Pafford EMS, a private service in the public interest. Sallisaw Lumber now offers a complete line of Guardian fiberglass insulation to lower your home or business's electric bill. Whether you want it blown in or batted, Sallisaw Lumber will professionally install Guardian fiberglass insulation for you. Remember, good results begin with a solid foundation, and that requires the right materials for the job. That's why the pros and do-it-yourselfers trust Sallisaw Lumber for selection and service.
Stop by his office at 2329 East Cherry. It's time to relax and do the things you want to do and let Casey Marlatt, CPA, take care of your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs. Call Casey Marlatt, CPA at 918-775-2983 for more information, or stop by his office at 2329 East Cherokee, Suite 10 in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. That's Casey Marlatt, CPA, for all your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs.
Good evening, and thank you for being here this evening. Tonight we have a candidate forum sponsored by the Mix KXMX and the Sequoyah County Times. This forum is being streamed live on the internet as well as on DiamondNet Channel 19, so first off, please silence your cell phones if you're in the audience. I want to thank People Inc. for allowing us to have this event in their facility. It's certainly nice to have such a great place in our community and for them allowing us to be here this evening. For the audience, thank you all for being here and for participating in our community government. Sallisaw is one of the few cities in Oklahoma that actually elects its police chief, and I'm glad to see that we've got voters ready to be here and hear from our candidates. The election is February 11th, and early voting can also be done on February 6th and 7th. That's a Thursday and Friday. This evening we have incumbent Police Chief Terry Franklin and Challenger Chris Abner for our event. I'll be keeping time and warning the candidates when it's time to stop. I've got a 30-second sign, 15-second sign, and a stop sign. And if that doesn't work, Mr. Abel, our moderator, will stop them. Marley Abel is Senior Vice President at First Star Bank here in Sallisaw, as well as a financial advisor with First Financial. Marley is a veteran moderator in our community, and we certainly appreciate him being here tonight. To start, each candidate will have 3 minutes to give an introduction. Mr. Abner will go first, and then Mr. Abner will start with questions, starting with Mr. Franklin, and then we'll go for about 30 minutes and then take a 3-minute break. At the conclusion, Mr. Franklin will go first for a closing statement, and then Mr. Abner. I think the event will last about an hour, depending on answers and how many questions Mr. Abel has. Thank you all for being here.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. This is kind of unique since we only have 2 candidates, so we're going to be able to ask quite a few more questions of each of you than what we normally have the opportunity to do. So we'll go ahead and get started tonight and ask Mr. Abner to come up and do his opening. You have 3 minutes.
First, I'd like to thank the Mix, Sequoyah County Times, and moderator Marley Abel for giving me the opportunity to speak with the citizens of Sallisaw about the betterment of our community and making the streets a safer place for our families. I'd like to introduce my wife, Crystal, of almost 15 years. She stood by my side through multiple combat deployments. She raised our children when I was deployed. She went where I was ordered to serve, and I want to say thank you for that and backing me. Tonight, this evening, you're going to hear about my expertise. My expertise on tactical knowledge, overseas, and combat situations. I have over 12 years of directly leading individuals in combat situations, leading individuals back in the United States. My expertise, I've managed over a $10 million budget here stateside with the United States Marine Corps. I had to make sure that the morale was of highest times when during some of the toughest circumstances with our troops overseas. I've already been honored to be endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. They share the same beliefs that I do of community, of being there for our officers. If my troops were on the front lines, their lives were in danger, my lives were in danger too. I led from the front. It didn't matter where I was, who our enemy was, but I was there with them. If I can earn your vote on February 11th, I will ensure you that I will take the same mindset of leading Marines to the Sallisaw Police Department. Not only did I have a large experience in administrative, budget, and tactical experience, I made sure they always had a plan to win. If you don't have a plan to win, you're not going to go anywhere. We have to have a plan to deal with our current problems here in Sallisaw, to deal with the narcotics problem. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Abner. We'll now move to Mr. Franklin, and he'll have 3 minutes for his opening statements.
Okay, well, if I can get this thing down here where you can hear me. As you know, most of you know me, I'm Terry Franklin. I want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity tonight as a candidate for the Office of Chief of Police and extend the invitation here to speak at this forum. I'd also like to thank those who are present. We've got a good crowd here tonight and listening to the mix, and the Sequoia County Times for sponsoring this event. I'd like to thank everyone who has been supportive of me and my campaign. I've been married to my wife, Colleen, for 33 years. We have one son, Chris. We attend church here at Emmanuel Baptist in Sallisaw. When I decided to seek the office of Chief of Police, it was because I believe the citizens of Sallisaw deserves the very best protection and services from the Sallisaw Police Department. It's always been a desire of mine to one day to lead the Sallisaw Police Department into the future. I'm the one candidate that has done that. I brought the police department my administrative and organizational skills. I plan to continue focusing on community policing with over 31 years of law enforcement experience. I've done the job as your chief. I have extensive knowledge of police department, budgets and accounting records, evidence management, investigations, dispatch, jail management, and patrol. I've also served as a charter president of the Sallisaw Police Association. I'm a member of the Oklahoma Association of Chiefs of Police and an International Association of Chiefs of Police. I've been blessed and honored to serve as your police chief for the last 6 years. I feel like we have brought a lot of positive changes to the police department. We have made the department more accountable to the people, and I will stand accountable to the people. I will continue to hold my officers accountable also. I will continue to also recognize my officers when they excel. I hold an advanced law enforcement certification. I attended college at Carl Albert State College. I'm the only candidate that has the experience to do this job. I'd like to ask you for your vote of confidence and re-elect me as your Chief of Police on February 11th. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and you can go ahead and stay up because the first question will be directed.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So as Jeff mentioned in his opening tonight for our forum, Sallisaw is one of the very few cities in the state of Oklahoma that still elect a police chief. And I know since I've lived here, we voted at least once, maybe twice, to possibly change that from an elected position to an appointed position. Do you feel that we should continue with an elected chief of police, and why?
Well, this is the thing. It'd be kind of wrong for me to stand up here and tell you I'm for an appointed chief when I'm an elected. You know, I think they both have their places. You know, there's a lot of cities that they have appointed chiefs, but there's still about 13 or 14 in the state of Oklahoma that are elected. You know, this is the thing. The good thing about being elected is all the people in the community have a say on who's going to be in this office, not just nothing against our council or anything. I think we got a great council, but whenever you only have like a handful of people making that decision instead of the whole community having a say, that's my view on that.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to the same question for Mr. Abner. Mr. Abner, Sallisaw is one of the only few cities in Oklahoma that still has an elected chief of police. Do you feel this should continue, and why?
Having a elected position as chief, there's plenty of officers right now that have a huge amount of experience. They're invested in the city. They're invested with the retirement system. The candidate that I'm currently going against does have 31 years of experience, but the problem that we have is that it's stalled. If you have 31 years of experience with an elected official and they're not keeping up with the current times, you're stalled in your policing. So if you have a appointed chief, yes, there are going to be certain qualifications that individual must have. The city manager, the commissioners, have to be aware of those qualifications. Right now, we have an elected position, and the big part about it is that, yes, you can have an individual up here who's an elected official who might be 31 years of experience. But if you have a person within Sallisaw Police Department that's appointed, that is stayed up with the current times, that's stayed up with the current problems that we have here in the city of Sallisaw and the state of Oklahoma, and we've not become stale, then it can go both ways. But we all know with the city of Sallisaw that it can be a popularity contest. But if you have those recommendations and you have those things put in charter saying that you have to have these qualifications, then a appointed police chief is not bad. But right now we have an elected one, and 31 years of law enforcement experience is irrelevant. It's have you kept up with the current times that we're in right now. And I'm the best candidate for that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, and you can go ahead and stand back up. The second question, you'll go first on it. So what do you see as the current needs of the department to progressively move forward? And also, who decides with regard to the budget how to accomplish these goals? And I ask it that way because I think there's some confusion within the community on whether or not the police chief has control of the budget, or if the city council in Sallisaw controls more of that budget.
So the big thing, the big need that I see right now with the Sallisaw Police Department, my candidate has said that, yes, he has brought technological advances to the city of Sallisaw. That's because he's got two good proactive captains, okay? That's a great thing, is that we have two captains that want to move forward. But with many of those technological advances, we are one of the last cities to get it. Having a computer inside of a unit is a necessity in the 21st century. You have to have it. My point moving forward from right here is to ensure that the officers are well trained, okay? Ensure that the officers are continuing to go to school. As far as the budget is concerned, the way I currently understand the budget, and once again, I'm not in this position, but anything over a $10,000 mark requires city manager and council approval at that point. Once again, I'm not in that position to go talk to them and understand completely how that works. But from this point forward, if I were to get elected, I would ensure that my officers are going to the most current schools. That does two things. One, it allows that officer when he gets on the stand to articulate why he's doing what he's doing, instead of that defense attorney just saying, well, you've only got this training. We have the manpower on the streets so we can send the officers to school, okay? We need to make sure that our officers don't have expired vests, all right? That's a big part about it, is making sure that officer is equipped with not just the latest technological advances, but has a plan to win. That's the biggest part. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Abner. Mr. Franklin, we all have the same question. What do you see as the current needs of the department to progressively move forward? And also, with regards to the budget, if you could explain the decisions there between the chief and the city council.
Okay, as far as progressively moving forward, we're always looking at ways to move forward and to advance our technology. As far as like equipment stuff, we're always trying to get equipment and keep our equipment updated. I know Officer Abner mentioned the vest deal. We have a vest grant. I don't know of any officers off the top of my head that has an old vest that has expired. But one of the captains that's involved in that, and I do have two captains. I have an administrative captain and a patrol captain. That administrative captain helps me and stay on top of our equipment needs, our finances, everything like that. Anytime we need anything, we get it for them. I don't know anybody that works here that can say that they haven't been sent to any school they've asked to go to. I would put my guys up against any department this side of the state as far as training and availability. We're always sending our people to training, to train the trainer, to bring it back, to try to progress our department. I've got some people that just came back from some different schools, getting ready to send some guys to a school here in the next few weeks on some other stuff. If as you know, in the last few years, we've been involved in a few officer shootings. And we're trying to get a team set together. So if we, hope to God we don't have another one, but if we do, we'll be able to deal with this inside. As far as the budget in the police department, the city, we'll start working on budgets in March. The city sends us a deal. We start a capital improvement request. We send it out to all the patrolmen or all the lieutenants and ask them to send us a request for what they might want that we don't have. Once we get that, we submit that to the city manager. We go through a process, and if at the end of the day we've got the money, we'll get what we asked for in the budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And you'll be first on the next question. Next question, I know both of you kind of mentioned a little bit about this in your opening, but given your background and experience, could you take a couple of things that you believe are the key criteria that's the most important for being our chief of police?
Well, I think being the chief of police, you got to be open to the people. You got to be able to communicate with our citizens. I think as a chief, you've got to be able to also communicate to your officers. But we also have a chain of command. We have rank structure to where that they can go through that. I have an open door policy. Any officer in my department can come and talk to me, but I will say this. They can come and talk to me. If they've got an issue, I'll listen to their issue, but I will never undermine one of their supervisors or anything like that. So if they've got something like that, like some type of a disagreement or they don't agree with something that the supervisor told them to do, then they'll have to go through the proper chain, because I'm not going to undermine my lieutenants or my captains.
Yep.
I don't remember the whole question, everything else you had in the question. But.
I think you covered it, background and experience, yeah. Right. Thank you very much. Mr. Abner, we'll ask you the same question. Given your own background and experience, what do you think are the couple of key criteria that makes you the most, or makes the most important for being the chief of police?
Yes. So not only my duty, my honor that I've already taken an oath to defend this Constitution, whether it be foreign and domestic, okay? Not only do I have the experience of the administrative side, but showing that I have an ability to formulate a plan and execute that plan. Those are all great things to stand by my current president and commander-in-chief. The big thing that my opponent said is chain of command. Chain of command. Any police force is a paramilitary force. Chain of command is huge in the military. And right now, the city of Sallisaw is not using, their police department is not using their chain of command. You have no checks and balances. Everything goes directly to the chief, okay? If you have a lieutenant, this was the best individual at that time to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant. You should expect that lieutenant to do more and better things than a standard officer. If every complaint comes into the chief of police, how do you make sure that things are happening the right way? You can't. You have to have your chain of command. If something happens, who do you hold accountable at nighttime if the chief isn't there? Your lieutenant. If a complaint comes in, obviously every complaint needs to be investigated. The lieutenant should investigate it. It should be brought up to the captain and formulate a plan on how to fix this officer. Okay? The Sallisaw Police Department has policy. Everybody should adhere to policy, including the chief of police. Nobody should be exempt on what they can and cannot do. Policy is written for a reason. You have to make sure everybody follows it. I also bring empathy to this position. Not only have I had to deal with loss on the battlefield, I've had to deal with my own personal loss of a child. So that empathy that I bring to the streets and to the officers about leaving the service, coming out of civilian life, coming into civilian life, and being able to relate to anybody, being able to relate to the person with a mental health problem, caring about the individual, knowing what's best, and formulating a plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Abner, you'll have the first question this time. So just over 5% of the population in Oklahoma currently has a medical marijuana license, which accounted for about $400 million in sales in 2019. How has this new policy changed policing in Sallisaw, and how would you respond to those who would like to make marijuana recreationally legal in Oklahoma?
Well, citizens of Sallisaw, or not just the citizens of Sallisaw, but the citizens of Oklahoma voted on medical marijuana. The Bill 788 says a lot of things about what can and cannot happen with marijuana. As far as legalizing it, whether it be statewide or federal-wide, the officers have to be not only trained on alcohol at that point, but it's going to come back to training on making sure that they can recognize an impaired driving on medical marijuana. That's one of the biggest problems that we have right now, is you have people that, or officers that are trained on recognizing somebody under the influence of alcohol. But now what you have is you have individuals with a medical marijuana card and they're contributing to minors. The officer has to be able to recognize that. How does the officer learn how to do that? By sending them to school, okay? Now I understand my opponent says that, you know, everybody gets a chance to go to school. That's not the case. I'm up here telling you right now, if I didn't feel important, if the officers of the Fraternal Order of Police that gave me their endorsement felt that way, there wouldn't be another candidate here, okay? I'm risking my law enforcement career to show to you that, hey, there are problems here. There's problems with the officers' lack of training. We are one of the largest departments on the eastern part of Oklahoma. Why aren't we going to training? We have the manpower so that when medical marijuana gets passed legally, how do we recognize it? We have to send them to the schools. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Franklin, same question. How's the new policy regarding medical marijuana changed policing in Sallisaw, and how would you respond to those who would like to make marijuana recreationally legal in Oklahoma?
Well, you know, my personal opinion of recreational marijuana, I mean, I'm not for it myself, but, you know, if the public, we voted, citizens of the state of Oklahoma, and they made it okay to have medical marijuana, and if they vote to have it as a legal everyday usage, I guess that's what they voted, and that's what we'll enforce, the way they asked us to do it. As far as, you know, Officer Abner talking about us sending people to school and stuff like that, everybody in this department is able to go to any training. I've got guys that are DRE trained expert. We send people trying to get them updated on all this marijuana stuff. We're always trying to stay ahead. There's so many unknowns in this marijuana business right now that even the DA's office, everybody's just kind of scratching their head trying to catch up. I know a few years ago I went to a symposium on this medical marijuana, and I listened to people from Colorado telling us that if we didn't get ahead of the curve on this, we'd be trying to catch up the whole time. And that's exactly what we're doing. You know, I know, and I don't want to get into a match here with my opponent about what we're training or whatever, but he's wrong on the training. He knows that if he wanted to go to school, he has to do a submit for it, because we're really highly trained department on this side, and we're going to continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You'll have the first question this time.
You know, we keep playing these. We'll figure this out about an hour.
Just hoping you get squats in for the night.
So,
What do you believe is the most significant factor in crime in Sallisaw? Is it poverty, drugs, something else?
well, I think it's going to be drugs. I mean, everywhere we turn, drugs are involved. Poverty has a lot to do with in our area. I mean, I'm just going to say, you know, we have a lot of people that aren't working. But anything we work on, and we're pretty proactive, we work all the time with the sheriff's department or anybody else on trying to put these people out of business that are dealing drugs. And the thing is, a lot of these people in the community, they're taking their last dime to go get that hit or buy that marijuana. I know right now that's the bad thing about all the marijuana stores. We got one, seems like on every corner. You know, I mean, they're stealing from them or wherever. The thing is, yeah, we do have a use issue, but we're not the only community. We're always trying to combat that. Every agency in the country, well, the federal government is too. You know, if there was a magic pill or a magic cure, I'd be glad, and I'd be the first one to go get that to prevent all this from going on, because it ruins everybody's life. I mean, we got small children that are suffering because somebody in their family, they're not utilizing the funds they have to provide for them, but they're buying drugs with it. And bottom line is, as long as I'm the chief, if we have an opportunity to bust you for doing illegal drugs, we're going to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And Mr. Abner, same question. What do you believe is the most significant factor of crime in Sallisaw, whether it be poverty, drugs, or something else?
Yes, I think that's an excellent question there, Mr. Abel. Is that the narcotics in the city are some way, about 85%, and you can talk to most police officers, are going to say that's directly related to whether it be property crimes, assaults, they're all related to the narcotics. I don't think poverty has anything to do with it. I think narcotics. If you attack the narcotics on the forefront by executing more search warrants by the individuals selling the narcotics that are actually poisoning our community, kicking those doors, the person selling drugs in our community should be saying, not a matter of if, but when is my door going to get kicked in. Then you look on the flip side, the person using the narcotics that wants to get help, okay? Don't wait till they're sitting on 10 years prison time. If we have the resources now, if we can get them the help they need, if they want it, okay? Narcotics, we only executed under 10 search warrants last year for the city of Sallisaw for narcotics, okay? That's ridiculous, okay? We have right now, I want to say 22 officers with 3 open positions. How is that right? How the magic pill that my opponent is talking about is proactive policing, is getting out there, being involved with the public, okay? If you see a child there, you know, playing basketball, having that officer stop and talk to him. Because the last time that child might have seen the police department is when he was being removed from that house. So that proactive policing, that talking to the kids, talking to the community, that's what it's all about. That's your magic pill right there, is get the drug dealers, help the ones that want to be helped. Thank you.
All right. And once again, you'll be taking the question first this time.
I'm just making sure you're paying attention.
I believe that you actually answered part of this question, but this is the last question we'll do, and then we'll take a quick break as well. The question was, how many police officers do we currently have on staff, and how many do you feel would be ideal if budget constraints weren't an issue?
Well, I mean, if budget constraints were an issue, I mean...
Within reason.
I mean, you're talking, so right now the last census I believe that was done was 8,600 people, okay? 8,600 people that call Sallisaw home. Now, let's not talk about, you know, the call volume that we might possibly have from the individuals coming to Walmart, okay? Coming to the lumber yard, from the accidents that happen with that, okay? So I think a good solid number would be 30 officers. 30 officers on the street, you know, and you know, some people say, you know, that's a joke, right? But 30 officers, why couldn't we use that? We have 2 detectives right now, 1 lieutenant over the detective. Do you not think that we could have more people in our detective's office working narcotics, actually being out there involved with the community? Okay? The state of Oklahoma actually has a mental health program which allows officers to be involved with mental health personnel before a crisis actually happens. Okay, why can't we do that? Mental health is huge these days. Sequoia County, we have a mental health court now. So if we had more officers on the street, you can't talk about what happened 30 years ago, what happened 10 years ago, because it's irrelevant. If you do not stay up with the current times that we have and expand our police department to our budget and look at our resources that we need and send the officers where they need to go, the city's not going to get any better. VA's coming in here, okay? You don't think we need more officers to account for that influx of traffic for the individuals that want to be next to their family at the VA, at that housing facility? So I would say a good number would be 30, Mr. Abel.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Franklin, how many police officers do we currently have on staff? How many do you feel would be an ideal number?
Well, 30 is not a bad number. I mean, 40 or 50 wouldn't be a bad number either, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to pay for them. Every time I go to a budget, I ask for more people. But, it's like anything. You, as the citizens of Sallisaw, the taxpayers, I mean, if you want to do a vote to add for the law enforcement or something, just earmark just for that, we'd probably have a lot more equipment. But at the end of the day, when we go to budget, the city council, that's their job to be good stewards for our citizens. And we do have a good budget. And if I could, if we could spend a lot more on employees, I would. We spend about $1 million a year right now on the employees we got. Last year our budget was $1.5 million, right at it. And about $1 million of that was for wages and salaries and benefits. Now the other $500,000, we use that on operations within the department to help pay for training, equipment, supplies, cars, you name it. I've got 2 officers, Officer Abner and Officer Edwards, that are both on grants. We're always applying for grants, trying to get more officers. I'm always sending something to our grant coordinator, looking at ways to help us get more help or whatever and save our citizens from having to pay more taxes or whatever. In an ideal world, it'd be great to have a bunch of people, but we've got what we've got, and we're gonna do the job with what we got. And like I said, if the city manager and the council wants to give us enough money to add 30 people, I'll be the first one to go. I'm all for that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
We will take a quick 3-minute break and be back in 3 minutes. So thank you.
Sallisaw Lumber now offers a complete line of Guardian fiberglass insulation to lower your home or business's electric bill. Whether you want it blown in or batted, Sallisaw Lumber will professionally install Guardian fiberglass insulation for you. Remember, good results begin with a solid foundation, and that requires the right materials for the job. That's why the pros and do-it-yourselfers trust Sallisaw Lumber for selection and service. In an emergency, you need a name that you can trust. Pafford EMS has been proudly serving Sequoia County since 2006 and has stations located in Muldrow, Sallisaw, and Vian. For a membership, you can call us at 918-774-9184. Pafford EMS, a private service in the public interest.
It's time to relax and do the things you want to do and let Casey Marlatt, CPA, take care of your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs. Call Casey Marlatt, CPA at 918-775-2983 for more information, or stop by his office at 2329 East Cherokee, Suite 10 in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. That's Casey Marlette, CPA, for all your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs.
In an emergency, you need a name that you can trust. Pafford EMS has been proudly serving Sequoyah County since 2006 and has stations located in Muldrow, Sallisaw, and Vian. For a membership, you can call us at 918-774-9184. Pafford EMS, a private service in the public interest. Sallisaw Lumber now offers a complete line of Guardian fiberglass insulation to lower your home or business's electric bill. Whether you want it blown in or batted, Sallisaw Lumber will professionally install Guardian fiberglass insulation for you. Remember, good results begin with a solid foundation, and that requires the right materials for the job. That's why the pros and do-it-yourselfers trust Sallisaw Lumber for selection and service. The earth is our home. It's where we live. It's where our children play. And it's our responsibility to take care of it for future generations. Sue's Recycling and Sanitation is here to help keep our land beautiful. We provide residential and commercial trash service for Sequoyah County. We also offer industrial waste services. Call 918-773-4007 to sign up today.
It's time to relax and do the things you want to do, and let Casey Marlette, CPA, take care of your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs. Call Casey Marlette, CPA, at 918-775-2983 for more information, or stop by his office at 2329 East Cherokee, Suite 10 in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. That's Casey Marlette, CPA, for all your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs.
Form for our chief of police candidates. We've gone about a half an hour. We'll probably go about a half an hour more or so, or until Mr. Marley either runs out of questions or patience. So I think I'll just turn it back over to Marley Abel. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Franklin will be first up for this next question.
It's time to relax and
So we currently have 2 school resource officers within the Sallisaw School District. How can this program be enhanced? And also, what is your opinion of allowing teachers to carry guns in schools as well? It kind of goes along with that.
Well, yeah, we currently have 2 SROs, school resource officers. I'd like to have 3, but here you come back to finances. Now, over the last few years, we've been paying for that totally through the city or through our budget. This last year, we discussed it with the current superintendent and the city manager. We had a meeting with him. We're going to meet with him every year. And the school is helping out a little bit this year. You know, I'd like to have plenty of people out there, because that's the thing. We need to protect our children, and we need to make sure that we have first line of defense if something goes on there to protect them. If I could have 5 SROs, I'd like to have one at every school. We've got 4 campuses, but it's all about finances. I mean, the whole world works off money. If you don't have the money to pay the bills, then you're not going to be able to do it. If I could get the school to pay for the whole thing, then that'd be great. But they're just like the city. They've got a tight budget also. You asked me something else there, but I kind of got lost on it with this SRO, because I'm kind of passionate about SROs.
The opinion of allowing teachers to carry guns in schools.
You know, my opinion is, and that's just my personal opinion, I'm not really sold on that. I know a lot of schools do that. I believe everybody has a right to carry firearms under your rights as a citizen. But the problem I'm concerned about is if we go in there, if something was to happen, now we've got a whole school full of people with firearms besides the person that we're going there to try to stop. And also, I believe teachers are nurturers, and they don't get the same training that we do. But if that's what the school decides to do, then that's what we'll do. Guess I got to stop. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Abner, we currently have 2 school resource officers within the Sallisaw School District. How can this program be enhanced? And also, what is your opinion on allowing teachers to carry guns in schools?
So, like you said, we got two school resource officers right now. Have these officers been to alert training, which is an active shooter? How many of our officers currently at the Sallisaw Police Department toured the schools, okay, in the event that an active shooter does happen, okay? The school resource officer is a huge part of a child's role, not only on making sure they're safe, but on mentorship. I was told yesterday, you know, that high school kids right now in Sallisaw School District are vaping in class with THC pens, okay? So would it not be beneficial for us to have a K-9 go through the schools? It absolutely would, but we can't because we don't have a K-9 at Sallisaw Police Department, okay? Huge part right there. But running a K-9, a drug-sniffing dog, through the Sallisaw Police Department or through the school district would deter kids from using THC vape pens in school. Okay, so as far as the question goes to, should teachers carry firearms in school? If a school district decides to say, yes, you can carry a firearm within school, I think it's huge that those teachers that would like to carry firearms, they get trained by the Sallisaw Police Department, okay? We know who they are. We train with them in the event that an active shooter does happen. Take the incident down in Texas. People are going to church. You had one guy with a gun. You had other people, they didn't shoot each other. They shot the person with the gun. If nobody would have been armed in that church, how many people would have been killed? The exact same thing applies to our schools, okay? Run the dog, get it into the school. If the teachers in the school district allow them to carry, make sure that they're trained by the Sallisaw Police Department, and we have a good working relationship with them. That's what it's all about, having a working relationship with everybody in the city of Sallisaw. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this next question will be for Mr. Abner first. Always like to wait till you sit down before I bring that up.
I got you.
Since the police chief is not allowed to be a member of the FOP, do you feel this creates a difficult working environment between the officers and the chief? Also, overall, do you support the need for an FOP? Why and why not?
So, in the event that I were to get elected, I would like to petition the FOP that, I can say a member, all right? I think the FOP does great things for our community, all right? Not only do they help out with the community of, they're sponsoring kids to go to a sporting event, or whether it's, taking kids to shop with a cop, all right? The FOP is there to protect the officers, and you have to have that. You have to have that bond between the police chief and the Fraternal Order of Police. You have to know that everything we do, the officers are automatically putting their lives on the line. If you can work hand in hand with the Fraternal Order of Police of creating the policies that best fit the officer and the citizens of Sallisaw, you're going to win. But if you're going to continue to fight the Fraternal Order of Police, you're going to lose. My opponent was one of the founders of the Fraternal Order of Police, okay? He didn't show up for the endorsement. He was given ample amount of time to show up when I asked for the endorsement so he could speak to the officers that he had served with for the past 6 years. He could have showed up, okay? For some reason, my opponent is now against the Fraternal Order of Police, which helps the citizens, helps the community. If you take that same aspect with the Fraternal Order of Police and you apply it to the policing, you're going to win. You're going to help the community. That's what they're about. Helping the community, doing what's best for them. Thank you.
And Mr. Franklin, same question. Since the chief of police is not allowed to be a member of the FOP, do you feel it creates a difficult working environment between the officers and the chief? And then overall, do you support the need for an FOP?
Well, that statement, you're not allowed to be, is not true. We've had chiefs of police that were members of the FOP in the past. The reason I'm not a member of the FOP is I feel like it's a conflict of interest. I'm the chief, and if I make a decision, the FOP, their part is to file a grievance if they feel like they were unjustly disciplined. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm a member, then that kind of makes it a counterproductive. I've been supportive of the FOP probably more than any chief that's been in the position since we've had the FOP. I'm always supportive of their charitable stuff, and anytime we go out and do shop with a cop, the softball, the fireworks, softball tournaments, I'm always allowing them to use the police vehicles, the police banners to show support, because we all live in this community, and just because you're part of the FOP doesn't make you're a member of the police department. We're all part of the same group. Yes, I was a charter member of the FOP back when it was formed. I actually served as vice president. When I became a captain, I stepped down because I felt like it was a conflict of interest to be in a position of management and be in the FOP as an executive. You know, and as far as having the FOP, I think it's a good organization. I tell them all the time, you know, the contract's a two-way street here. It's good for both of us as long as we both abide by it, but it's not something you should try to take advantage of either party with. So, you know, as far as being against the FOP, I'm not against them. The reason I didn't, you know, he was mentioning about this endorsement. It's kind of hard for me to gather you want to go endorse somebody before you even know who files for office. We hadn't even filed yet. So, you know, what if we'd had somebody else run? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And you'll be first on this next question. And I apologize. In my research, I was told that the chief of police was not allowed to be a member of the FOPs, hence that question a little bit. So,
well, I know in the past we've had, I know the last chief was a member of the FOP.
I didn't know that either. So
I'm sure some of these guys probably don't know it. I have been here a day or two.
All right. Well, this next question: what do you think an effective body cam program looks like? Should the legislature mandate the cameras for the police departments, or should this be left to individual departments? This is kind of a statewide, national issue right now.
You know, I'm really high on the body camera deal. We've got body cameras. Every officer's issued a body camera. The problem that we have with the body cameras is human error. Every officer, when they go 10-8, they're to go pick up their camera, put it on, and anytime they have any type of police actions or contact with a citizen, they're supposed to engage by turning that camera on, and it's touching that particular spot on there, it'll come on. Well, the problem is, if you get a hot call, as you're proceeding to that call, you've got a lot of things going through your head that you're trying to prepare for the unknowns. So a lot of times you'll jump out of the car and you fail to hit that button, and I'm going to call that human error. We're looking at a system right now where we can put some type of automatic cut on through our lights. If they turn their overheads on, which if they're going to a hot call or something, they should engage their lights and stuff, and it'll automatically turn that camera on so they don't have to worry about that. As far as the state mandating it, you know, I don't know that that's the way to go. I think each department needs to have a good policy, and we don't have it in our policy where it says they shall. We have it in our policy at this time that they will. Because the problem about saying they shall is if they don't for any little thing, then they're subject to disciplinary measures, and it might be an honest mistake. So now you're going to be disciplining them for something that they didn't intentionally do, and that's where I was talking about the human error. But my next thing is we don't have car cameras, and that's what I want to put in our vehicles next to enhance our body cameras also, so we get a different view besides just the body camera, because if we're driving, it's on their chest, it's not picking up much with the steering wheel. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abner, what do you believe an effective body camera program looks like? Should it be legislature mandate the cameras or the individual police departments?
I first want to attack the legislator mandate. I don't think that you should ever say you shall with a department of our size. We're not a department that has 30 officers out at any given time. So for example, if I'm on my way to work and I live on South 59 and I get a call at Ram's Trailer Park with a domestic with weapons in progress, and you say I shall have a body camera, that means that I cannot respond to that call. That means that somebody that might be saved cannot, because now I'm putting my livelihood at risk, because my policy states you shall, okay? You should wear a body camera. It is a tool. In the event, though, that sometimes body cameras don't work, whether it be human error, whether it be the body camera got knocked off during a scuffle, because all our body cameras are just magnets, all right? I think that is where the chief of police has to be transparent with the media and actually say, hey, this is what happened. This is what the officer did, okay? There might not be video of it, but here are the still photographs, okay, of being transparent, of saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is why the officer did what he did, all right? Now, I understand in the 21st century, body cameras are the best. But if you only have one view of that body camera, it's only going to show one picture, all right? Most officers wear their body cameras in the center of their chest, okay? So you're not maybe going to be able to see that individual. So I don't think legislators should get involved. There's actually a bill right now saying that if an officer doesn't initiate his body camera, he could be held criminally liable, okay? That's not appropriate, okay? These officers are already at risk for their lives. But with that being said, your chief of police has to be transparent, whether it be a shooting or a use of force, whatever it may be, of telling exactly what happened. Doesn't matter, but everybody can tell it's the exact same policy. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, and we will Mr. Abner will go first this time. We kind of briefly talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to touch base on it again because I think a lot of people don't understand the new laws that did go into effect with the simple drug possession rules. So with the change in penalties for the simple drug possession, how do you see that affecting the way that the Sallisaw Police Department polices in our community? And how do you see the department policy changing in the future to be more effective in these situations?
Now, are you regarding like the simple possession of methamphetamine or making marijuana legal?
I was more concerned about the way that the vote really impacted, in my opinion anyway, the methamphetamine and a little bit more hardcore drugs, I guess you could say.
Yes, so for many people that don't even know that, simple use of a methamphetamine, heroin, under a certain amount is a misdemeanor. The citizens of Oklahoma voted on it, and that's how it's done. But I think, regardless, it's still an arrestable offense. You should never let anybody go that has methamphetamine, heroin, any sort of hard drug, all right? With that being said, once you arrest that individual and he wants to get sober or she wants to get sober, you have to have something on that back end to help that person. Let's say this person is his first time or her first time getting in trouble with methamphetamine, okay? What are we doing? We're essentially citing them with an $1,100 ticket. If they can't pay it, they can sit in jail for $25 a day, and then they're back out on the streets. How do we stop that? Because we're arresting the exact same people over and over. They're no longer facing a felony. How do we help them? I think we have to have the resources at the Sallisaw Police Department and telling them where they go. Okay, whether we come up with our own program, a lot of rural communities, what they've done is they just have the resources there. They're saying, hey, you can go here. Do you want to get help? This is what you can do, and lead them in the right direction. But if you don't do that, they're just going to keep on that repeat cycle, being arrested, being arrested. There's not too many people in the city of Sallisaw where methamphetamine has not affected their family in one way or another. And if we're not proactive with it, since it is a misdemeanor, it will kill a small town. Sallisaw is a beautiful place to live. We have to take care of our children. I arrested a 15-year-old kid with methamphetamine. At what point does that 15-year-old kid turn to 10 years old? We have to do something about it. We have to be proactive on helping the individuals that want to get help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abner. Mr. Franklin, with the change in penalties for the simple drug possession, how do you see that affecting our policing community going forward? And do you see any department policy changes that may help with that?
So as far as policy changes, we're working on our policies all the time. We're getting ready to go to a new policy system that our insurers pushing out to us called Lexapro, which they keep up with the current daily on all new policies and laws that are changing. As far as how it affects us and the sheriff's office all the same. We're inundated with misdemeanors now because most of these crimes are misdemeanors instead of felonies. But the thing is, as far as getting them help and things like that, even if we arrest them, and Chris was talking about putting them in our jail and they're sitting there for $25 a day, if you charge them through the city, that's what's going to happen. But you can also charge them through the county as a misdemeanor and ask the judge or the court to send them to drug court or community sentence to try to get them some help. And they're the ones that can order them to do that. And them avenues are there. And these guys, you know, it's putting a burden on everybody since they changed that law about everything's a misdemeanor. Every jail in the state is inundated with more people, because what happens is when they come into the jails, into the county jails and everything, they try to set them a bond, get them out. Well, they'll get out on it, then they don't pay the bond, then they come back in on a failure to pay, just like they do for us. Then they're not allowed to bond out no more because it's cash only. We also have I have a work detail. I have a jail inmate work crew to try to help get these people out of there a little quicker. They get paid $50 a day if they work, or if they sit in the jail, they get $25 a day. And also this program, we've helped a lot in the community, cleaning things. I don't know how much Thomas Ridgewater runs that for me, but we're always out picking up stuff on the street, trying to help keep our city looking better, using our inmates.
Okay, thank you very much. And you'll be first this time.
I learned that.
This is slightly longer wording here, but community policing is a term that's been around for at least 4 decades, based on articles that I found when I was researching the topic. The term seems to have made a comeback across the nation as communities are striving to find ways to create more cooperation between the citizens and police officers. There are also hundreds of definitions of community policing. What does community policing mean to you, and do you think it's possible to achieve that goal in Sallisaw?
Well, we are a community policing police agency. We know the people. I'll just give you a quick story. I went to a symposium when I first started this, listening to people from all over the world talking about community policing. And as I sat there listening to them, I realized that we are a community, and we do community police because I know you and you know us. You know, just like Officer Abner said a while ago, you know, get out and talk to that kid. We get out all the time. I see my guys out talking to people, with kids, different people, playing basketball, doing whatever. That's community policing, letting them know that we're not their enemy. And we're going to continue to do that as long as I'm chief. You know, the whole deal is this. I live here just like you live here, and we need to remember that everybody in this community is part of our family. And that is, to me, community policing. There's not many people where I guess I'll just put it this way. There's not many places I don't go that I don't know somebody, and I don't have a problem, and we need to get out and talk to them, and we need to roll the windows down in our police cars when we're patrolling, and we need to listen to people and wave at them, and if they need something, be able to be approachable. To me, that's community policing. It's not some fancy program or something. It's just getting to know the people in your area or in your community, which we're lucky enough that we're small enough. We still are pretty lucky if we want to get out and meet them. But if we don't, then you're going to be isolated, and you're not going to be very good at what you're doing. Because the more you talk to the people, they're going to understand you more, and they will come and give you more information just because they like you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Abner, that'll be the same question. Regarding community policing, there's hundreds of definitions of community policing. What does community policing mean to you, and do you think it's possible for us to achieve that goal in Sallisaw?
I think my opponent said community policing is essentially, you know, arresting somebody and having them go out and clean the streets. That's not community policing. I think community policing, as a chief of police, is continue to patrol with your officers and not just expecting your officers to go out there and meet people, but know everything that's happening on in the community. Of that officer, yes, playing basketball with a kid, talking to a kid, whatever it might be. Community policing is when you see a problem with the community, is trying to fix it, whatever that might be. Okay? So if an officer brings a problem, essentially somebody needs something fixed, is the officer possibly getting out there and helping it on their off duty, of being connected with everybody and everything that's going on. But the biggest part about community policing is that the chief of police needs to be out there in the community, okay? Needs to be able to put on a uniform and still go out there with his guys and gals and do it with them continuously. Not just, 3 months before an election, but continue to do the job as a police officer and continue to work for the community. That is community policing from the highest level. Lead by example. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this last questions that we're going to do, and then we're going to do the closing statements. And this is kind of a combination, two question here, but one of them's awful easy. So the most popular, Mr. Abner will be first this time, by the way. The most popular question that people have stopped me on the street and asked me to present to you this evening is this: if national or state level government decides to initiate a gun confiscation program, will you instruct Sallisaw police officers to abide by this mandate?
Absolutely not. I am the only registered Republican in this race. Let that be known. Okay? I support the Second Amendment to the fullest to any law-abiding citizen. That's simple. There's nothing more to it, okay? I defended this country overseas. I took an oath, defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I take that very serious to this day. The Second Amendment is there, law-abiding citizens, okay? Teachers, if the school district approve it, train with them, okay? The Constitution, it's in writing, it's worked, okay? That's what I live by. I served my country by the Constitution. I took that oath. I look forward to serving the exact same thing here on the home front. To answer your question, Mr. Abel, I will not. And I will not tell any officer to take anybody's right of that Second Amendment. Thank you very much.
Actually, go ahead and step back up. We'll finish. I really thought that I would just get a no, and no. So the second part to this question, and the last question is, since you've both had the opportunity to work together for a couple of years now, give us something positive that you can say about your opponent.
I think Terry Franklin's an awesome individual, okay, for numerous reasons. We just have different leadership styles and views that I'm going about it, okay? I want to lead one way, he wants to lead the other way, okay? And that's fine, all right? I believe in the chain of command. I believe in upholding policy and holding everybody accountable in the city. It doesn't matter who you went to school with. That's just who I am, all right? But he's an awesome individual. He's there's plenty of good things I can say about him, but I'm honored just to stand up here next to him, and thank you for his 31 years of service. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Franklin, the first part of that is regarding the if a national or state level government decides to initiate a gun confiscation program, will you instruct Sallisaw police officers to abide by this mandate?
Oh, no, but I'd also like to say that, this is a nonpartisan race, and, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, at the end of the day, you got to do what's right. And as far as, to me, it doesn't matter what party you are to do what's right in your heart. So, with that said, that's about all I got to say about that.
Okay, and since you've both had the opportunity to work together for a couple of years, give us something positive to say about your opponent.
Well, let me just say this about Chris. I hired Chris because I thought he'd be a good officer, and he's a good officer. He's done a good job. Matter of fact, I told one of his lieutenants the other day, if some of them other guys didn't start picking it up, I don't probably need them all because he's doing most of the work. You know, he talks a lot about the chain of command and everything. You know, and we do have the chain of command, and he knows that. You know, but as far as a good guy, I think he's a really good guy. I don't have anything against Chris. You know, I think that if he'd have waited a few years, got a little more experience, he might make a heck of a chief. But there's a lot more to this job than a guy with 2 years. Because I remember when I had 2 years, I didn't have a clue, and of what all was going on behind the counter. And that's the whole thing. There's a lot more going on behind the back door or behind the desk than what guys on some of the guys that have been here for a few years. And I'm pretty blessed. I have 2 captains that between the 3 of us, we've got about 80 years of experience. And we have to use all of that all the time sometimes to figure things out. So, you know, it's easy to get out here and think that you got it all figured out, but there's a lot more to this than just a couple years. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we will move on now to the closing. For the opening, Mr. Abner started and Mr. Franklin finished. So for the closing, we'll ask Mr. Franklin to start, and you'll have 3 minutes to do your close.
All right. Well, I thought we only had 2 to do that. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that came out tonight. You know, we've got a good crowd, and we've had some really good questions tonight, and I appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to say I'm the only candidate that was born and raised here in Sallisaw, and that does mean something to me. And, you know, I have 29 more years of law enforcement experience than my opponent. I have the experience with city government and city budgets. I have 31 years in law enforcement experience, and I've worked in all aspects of law enforcement. As a 31-year veteran of the Sallisaw Police Department with the last 6 years as your chief of police, and like I said earlier when I opened, I've been honored to serve in that position, and it's quite a responsibility, and I appreciate the people that give me the opportunity to do this. I'm committed to the citizens of Sallisaw, and I will continue to be progressive and treat people with respect. I mean, we all deserve respect and decent treatment from the police department. I'm elected by the citizens of Sallisaw to protect and serve the citizens in the city of Sallisaw. You know, earlier it was said that, you know, leading from the front or leading from the back. Well, I'm going to tell you what, the Sallisaw Police Department is a business. And we operate it like a business. And I have people in place to do the jobs that I feel they can do to manage the guys on the street and on the ground. And I also have guys in place that are to manage the management side of it, the administrative. Because at the end of the day, if we don't manage this thing as a business, we're going to be a failure. I've been very blessed in my life. I started working when I was 12 years old for a gentleman named Harold Lee. And I've learned a lot of business things from him over the years. And I do know it's a business, and we're going to operate it as a business as long as I'm the chief. Because if we don't, then it's going to be a bad day. I'd like to respectfully ask you guys, or everyone here, and out here listening, for your continued support as we move forward. And if you would, vote for Terry Franklin for chief on February 11th. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Abner, you now have 3 minutes for your closing.
First, I'd like to, you know, my opponent essentially attacked my military service by not being born here. If we go off of the requirements to be chief of police, being 25 years old, having a GED, and being CLEAT certified, I decided to serve my country along with my father from Van Buren, Arkansas. All right? I served my country honorably, okay? I served my country multiple times in combat. I was injured in combat. So my opponent could have the luxury to stay here at home and do his 31 years in Sallisaw, okay? I have, 2 years of law enforcement experience, yes, but I have real life, real world experiences, and my opponent says, run it like a business. I can't actively say run it like a business when one of y'all's lives might be in danger. You can't say that. How can you say run it like a business when there's a domestic involved and that officer is not trained the way he needs to be trained? When we have officers and we're giving Sequoia County $100,000 to use their dog twice, that's running it like a business, right? It's not. That's neglect. But my closing is, you've heard two different people tonight, two different leadership styles, completely different, okay? He wants to lead however he wants to lead, but I will lead from the front. I will ensure that my officers are always equipped with the latest needs that they need. I will ensure that I will never put an officer's life in danger. I would never tell him to do something that I personally wouldn't or couldn't do. I will ensure that I uphold those standards of a police officer, okay? Two completely different leadership styles, and I want to thank you, everyone here, for their time. I want to thank the citizens of Sallisaw out there listening for the betterment of our community, knowing what's out there. February 11th, vote. Do it right. We cannot be stale anymore in our law enforcement experience that we are currently having in the city of Sallisaw. We have great individuals, okay? Let's help the individuals that need to be helped, and let's kick in the doors that need to be kicked in. If we don't do this, you're going to lose. We are all going to lose. Our kids are going to lose, okay? Send the school resource officers to the schools they need, okay? Work with the community. Don't hide in an office. My opponent says that he has all this experience, 31 years. Good. My leadership style has been proven for over 240 years in the United States Marine Corps. February 11th, I would love to have your vote. Go to my Facebook page, like it, but vote Abner. Thank you.
This concludes our event tonight. I want to again thank our moderator, Marley Abel. I'd like to thank People Inc. for allowing us to be here. I want to thank Darren Gardner and the Mix for joining me, the Sequoia County Times, and putting on this event. And I'd also like to say that if you've read the Sequoia County Times, you know we had 5 newspaper racks stolen. And I want to thank the Sallisaw Police Department for recovering the newspaper racks and hopefully bringing the person to justice who stole them. So thank you all very much and have a good night. Bye. Thank you. Great job.
The earth is our home. It's where we live. It's where our children play. And it's our responsibility to take care of it for future generations. Sue's Recycling and Sanitation is here to help keep our land beautiful. We provide residential and commercial trash service for Sequoia County. We also offer industrial waste services. Call 918-773-4007 to sign up today. In an emergency, you need a name that you can trust. Pafford EMS has been proudly serving Sequoia County since 2006 and has stations located in Muldrow, Sallisaw, and Vian. For a membership, you can call us at 918-774-9184. Pafford EMS, a private service in the public interest. Sallisaw Lumber now offers a complete line of Guardian fiberglass insulation to lower your home or business's electric bill. Whether you want it blown in or batted, Sallisaw Lumber will professionally install Guardian fiberglass insulation for you. Remember, good results begin with a solid foundation, and that requires the right materials for the job. That's why the pros and do-it-yourselfers trust Sallisaw Lumber for selection and service.
And let Casey Marlatt, CPA, take care of your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs. Call Casey Marlatt, CPA, at 918-775-2983 for more information, or stop by his office at 2329 East Cherokee, Suite 10 in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. That's Casey Marlatt, CPA, for all your tax preparation and bookkeeping needs.